Shakespeare's plays have individual approach. The most striking feature of the play The Tempest is its atmosphere of enchantments. In this respect, it stands near a midsummer night's dream. But these two plays present a study in contrast to. The whole play of The Tempest is under the influence of the supernatural. The scene is an enchanted island. The leading character is a magician. He is waited upon by his demon or spirit, who again marshals an army of lesser ministers. The island was inhabited first by a witch, Sycorax, and later by his son, a born devil. Caliban says of the island, "This isle is full of noises, sounds, and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not." Shakespeare introduces the supernatural in other plays too. A Midsummer Night's Dream, Macbeth, Hamlet, etc. But there is a striking difference. In other plays, the supernatural powers act on their own. They are not subject to any potent human will. Of course, they meddle in human affairs and influence the human destiny. For example, when they are small, innocent beings like fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream, they may play harmless pranks among the mortals, but in Macbeth, the supernatural powers are the very principle of evil and tempt man to crime and to his doom. In The Tempest, on the other hand, the supernatural powers are under the control of human will. Prospero is the master, Ariel is the servant. Like Puck, Ariel befools human beings, but Ariel differs from Puck. Puck delights in befooling human beings and laughs at them and says, "Lord, what fools these mortals be!" But Ariel is a gentle spirit. It refuses to carry out the gross and earthly orders of Sycorax. It tortures human beings at the command of Prospero, no doubt. But it pities them and says, "If you now behold them, your affections would become tender." Here in this play, Prospero has used the supernatural to bring about reconciliation. The supernatural machinery is the integral part of the Tempest. All that happens in the Tempest is brought about by magic and supernatural agency. In the Tempest, it is the very basis of a structure of the play. The action of the play stands or falls with it. The structure of the play itself is in keeping with the supernatural tone and color. For example, it contains a mask which is an organic growth of the supernatural motive. It is an essential growth, for it is hard to see how the play could have been fully developed without it. The Tempest is further remarkable for general simplicity of a structure and its many minor details of symmetry. There is the usual arrangements of characters and groups of characters, both as contrast and explanatory counterparts. The drunken butler and the strange pair of associates are a grotesque but significant parody of the villains of Sebastian and Antonio. Next, the Tempest is characterized by the loftiness rather than the sweetness of its poetry. Only in drama can poetry become a complete criticism of life. But not even in Hamlet does the great critic review the fact of existence so fully and so truly as in The Tempest. The Tempest is a comedy. It ends happily, of course. It deals with deception and treachery, but it ends with repentance, reconcilement, forgiveness, and restoration after loss, the bringing forth of good from evil. Prospero says, they being penitent, the sole drift of my purpose, not a frown further, as the rare action is in virtue than in vengeance. Besides, he has dealt with topics of contemporary interest in the play, but the special feature of the play is that he has viewed these topics in wider contexts. Ben Jonson has rightly said, Shakespeare was not of an age, but of all ages. His social philosophy and even the politics of Shakespeare are universal in their wisdom. That is why The Tempest is regarded not only as the criticism of the time, but also as the criticism of life. He states in The Tempest that the spirit of freedom lies in the spirit of service. In the epilogue, Prospero says, Thou is nothing we can call our own best love. And love in The Tempest is refined even beyond the most delicate of conceptions. But a man's reach should exceed his grasp. Or what is heaven for Miranda's expression of love distinct from the expressions of love in other plays. And prompt me plain and holy innocence, I am your wife if you will marry me, if not, I will die your maid. The Tempest stands apart from all the other plays of Shakespeare from the point of view of its typical characters. Caliban and Ariel are the most complex of all the creations of the great artists who exhausted worlds and then imagined new. Critics have pointed out that Caliban is not one character but three. He is a compound of three typical ideas. First, he is the embodiment of the supernatural. He was the offspring of a witch, Sycorax. He was not honored with a human shape. In fact, he was a strange fish, legged like a man and his fins like arms. In this respect, he was a foil to Ariel. Secondly, he is a slave. When the play opens, Prospero says, Will visit Caliban, my slave. He hates his taskmaster, hates all service. Thus, he embodies one of the leading social topics, namely slavery, the revolt against labor. Thirdly, he is a dispossessed Indian, a more or less noble savage. In this character of the dispossessed Indian, he appears frequently. This isle is mine, which thou takest from me. Like Caliban, Ariel is a complex character, but with a difference. He is a spirit of the air and illustrates the notions of service and freedom. He is distinct from the fairies in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Ariel is a spirit much more than a fairy. He is a creature of both the higher imagination and the higher aspirations. No fewer than three of its leading characters are supernatural or have supernatural powers, while a fourth one, Miranda, is entirely original, a woman who has never seen one of her own sex. She says, I do not know one of my sex, save from my glass, my own. Besides, The Tempest is autobiographical in character. Three plays stand out from the rest in respect of autobiographical interests. They are A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, and The Tempest. They reveal their author at the outset, the middle, and the close of his career of those three records. The Tempest is the most reliable. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, Shakespeare apologized as a beginner for his own dramatic innovations as well as for the many shortcomings of the drama. In The Tempest, he bids farewell to the stage in Prospero's speech: "I will break my staff, bury it certain fathoms in the earth. I will drown my book." Please listen, give comments, and share my topics and subscribe it for the sake of benefits further. From class 3 to BA honors, I have started giving important points in regard to poems, essays, and dramatists. Please share and subscribe.